All right, welcome. We are going to do the modeling of the multi-view. Multi-views here. I've got this simple one. This is number 3. I know the image is backwards down here in the corner, but that is that's okay. We can work with that. First thing to do is try to figure out which of the construction blocks make up this picture. All right. So I have, obviously we can see down here in the corner, we've got a long triangle and a short triangle. So that's these two. Kind of like that. And then we've got this square shape up here, right behind it. And that kind of gives us that view. If you can look at that front or that top view up in the top corner up here, it very much looks like this. And then we can see the profiles here. So the first thing is to kind of figure out what the orientation is there before we start modeling. So now that we know which 3 parts we're modeling, we can start doing that. So on Onshape, I'm going to go ahead and create a new document. I will put this in the folder. All right, our folder for simple blocks. We're going to keep working in that one. And then our naming convention, IED underscore first name underscore the name of the part. We're going to call this one multi-view 3. Go ahead and create that. And here I am in Onshape, going to start modeling. So what I'm going to do here is for this one, and it depends on which one you're working with, you can sometimes see this shape, okay, the top view is kind of the general shape that we want, and then we could cut out these triangles. So I can use a remove extrusion to cut out those 2 triangles, and I'm going to sketch a big block that's basically this shape first. All right. So knowing your dimensions, which is very important, I know that these are, each one of these are 1.125 thickness and about twice as long, so 2.25 in length. All right. And the cubes are the same on each side, so 1 and an eighth, 1 and an eighth. If you don't know that, you can always take out your tape measure or your ruler and measure that there. I know the image is backwards, but yes, that's 1 and an eighth there. Okay, so now that I know my dimensions, I can go ahead and start modeling. I like to always start on the top plane. So I'm going to start my sketch on the top plane, navigate the view cube to the top, and I'm going to start working on creating this sketch. We're going to start with, again, something I like to do is start with a center point rectangle, anchor it onto the center. Very important that we always do that. Something, the very first sketch we make, should be anchored onto the center, origin. All right, I'm going to stretch this out. It doesn't really matter what size I make it necessarily. I'm going to get the general shape because this little white box is going to pop up, and I'm going to go ahead and type in my dimensions there. We're going to model the full. We're going to model the larger cube here first. So this is going to be 2.25 by 1.125. That's going to be our first rectangle. All right, so looking at the top view, looking at this top view here, I have a rectangle this way, and I have another one on the side over here. All right, now this image is a little bit backwards, so on my screen it's going to be reverse imaged. All right, but should still get you the same idea. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another corner rectangle. Whoops. This time, sorry, I'm going to use the corner rectangle, and I'm going to attach it to this bottom here, and I'm going to make that same rectangle. All right, so 2.25 by 1.125. And there now I have this general shape here. Again, reverse imaged because the camera is not displays a reverse image. Finish that sketch, navigate back to my isometric view. Now I'm going to extrude both of these out at the same time. So hit extrude, click on each of the shapes, and we're going to go that same depth. They are both still 1.125 tall, so 1.125. And they end up extruding that. This is a new part. This is our first one. Subsequent parts that we add on to this or remove from it will either be adding or removing. All right, right here. This one, though, is our first one, so this is new. Okay, the next thing I like to do is go ahead and turn off all of the planes because I'm no longer going to be using those in this sketch. Sometimes you may want to use one of the planes again. In this case, I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that origin on there just in case I need to anchor anything to it in the future. This one I'm not going to need to do that, but just in case you do, I kind of leave that one on there. So what we need to do is we need to make this longer rectangle in the front here. We need to make that into two triangles. So I'm going to this time sketch what I'm going to remove on the face of this part. So I'm going to click on sketch and then click on this part. And that gives me a plane that you can see here on the edge of that part, which is my right edge. So I'm going to zoom into the right, whoops, that is not the right edge, just kidding, that's the front edge. Here we are and we're on that face. All right, I want to create two triangles, a small one and a long one. So I'm going to grab my line tool. I'm going to attach to the corner, go up to the top, and then down to the other corner. And that gives me a generic line. I'm not going to put any dimensions on it. Notice that it's blue. That means it's not constrained. Indicated over here, not fully defined by this little blue circle with the minus sign in it. All right, that's because I don't have a location here. Now these points, this point up top is anchored to this line. I cannot move it up or down. I can only move it back and forth on that line. These points down here are anchored to that specific corner. So you'll see that that corner point is black, which is fully constrained. Up top here, though, I need to give this a dimension. Well, I want it to be the length of this cube, or the length of this rectangle here, or this triangle. And that is 1.125. So how do I do that? I want to set it 1.125 inches from the corner. So I will go up and grab my dimension tool, click on the corner, click on my part there, and we got pretty close, but we'll type that in anyway, 1.125. So there's basically my two triangles. Now there is a line down the middle that you see when you look at the drawing and when you see this split here on the actual blocks. But we are modeling this as one solid piece of wood. All right, so we're just going to do it that way. So we don't need to worry about that line down the middle. All right, so I finished that sketch and I have my lines defined now, and I have three different sections here that I can extrude, remove, etc. So I want to go to extrude. I want to click on these two. It's going to default to adding, which as you can see, it doesn't like that because this line right up here is just one simple little piece. So it's kind of messing it up there, but that's okay because we don't want to add, we want to remove. So click remove, and we want to go the full depth of this part. So right now it's only at 1 inch, and it's not going all the way through because our depth is 1.125, 1 1/8 inches. So typing that in, that will cut through this entire part, and then it will cut this other side with this other triangle the same distance. Clear that out, go back to isometric view, and here we are. All right, that has modeled that part. I'm hoping that this is what it looks like. Next thing we need to do is create the multi-view drawing. So go down to your part 1, right click, create drawing of part 1. We are going to use, you could do no views and add them individually. In this case, we want all 4 projected views, front, top, right, and the isometric. So we're going to go ahead and create one with 4 views. All right, now that this is loaded, one thing we want to do is this isometric view, we want to make it the shaded view. So I'm going to right click on it, show hide, show the shaded view. And then these other 3, I'm going to click on each one of them, and then I'm going to right click and show the hidden lines. So if there are any hidden lines, there'd be one there. Now this should match up, although again it's mirror imaged, should match up with what we have on the camera down here. Let's blow that up a little bit. And our top view looks like this, although again mirror imaged. This front view, that's what that looks like, and the right looks good as well. So we are pretty much done with this. We need to export it as a PDF. So I'm going to go down to my part drawing. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to export. And as a PDF, it names it after the part. I'm going to change it to IED underscore my first name underscore multi-view 3. That's going to give me a PDF. It will download up here in the top corner in a second. And once I have it downloaded, I can now find that download file, that PDF version, and I can go ahead and put that PDF on the assignment.